Today I woke up and decided that my coffee table, the one in the middle of my living room, should really be covered in art. So that's what we're gonna do. I have this bad habit of overcomplicating projects to the point I never actually start them, so we are not doing that today. So instead of making a new design from scratch for this table, I'm gonna go through a bunch of my old projects and take elements from them. It's not stealing if you take from yourself. So let's see what we got. I definitely want a couple of the faces from this one. I use this skull all the time, and I might want to use this text as well. Definitely want to use the text from here. I don't think I want the train, but I do want the word hyperfocus. This is just solid advice. I feel like I'm grabbing a lot of text, but not a lot of other elements, so we're definitely going to use this one. Not sure if I want just the head or the whole body here, but I definitely want part of it. Always room for fun. Definitely room for this guy. There's always room for a good butt in any design. Speaking of butts, they seem to be a reoccurring theme in my art. I'm okay with that. Yep, definitely grabbing that. Why not? I don't know if it's actually possible for me to make a piece without a D&D reference somewhere. Dopey cat face and the other end too. Perfect. I think that's it for the iPad, but there's also some real life stuff I want to grab. This is a painting I recently finished that I absolutely love. Click. Going through a sketchbook, I definitely want this flamingo guy. Perfect. Oh yeah, for sure. This unfinished one might be good too. I almost forgot about these two paintings, and they definitely belong on the table. I still feel like I was grabbing a lot more text elements than characters and items and stuff like that, but then I remembered something. A couple of years ago, I painted this deck of cards for Halloween, and there's so many little random objects in here. I think all of these could fit pretty well. By the way, if you liked any of that art you saw there, I have a ton of it on my website. I've got prints, stickers, shirts, enamel pins, whatever you want, so go ahead and open that shop link in the description in a new tab, finish this video, forget that you opened a new tab, and find it in about a week. After picking out all of my images, I made a big document in Fresco and then made a little box inside of that document the dimensions of my table. I imported every image that I downloaded, converted it to a pixel layer, cut out everything I wanted, deleted the rest, and then merged it down so I wouldn't have to worry about layer management later and everything was just in one neat layer. I set whatever I cut out off to the side of the main square and then imported the next photo. After I had everything cut out, I really just put it together kind of like a puzzle. I dragged each piece into the square, resized it, and positioned it to fit with what was already there. I didn't waste time cleaning up any designs because, as you'll see in a second, that doesn't matter. I moved all the pieces around to make sure everything was relatively the same size and there weren't any huge gaps in between the elements, until I got a composition that I liked. And once I was happy with it, I just exported it as an image. I've had this coffee table for a while, so it has some dings and scratches on it, so the first thing I'm gonna do is give it a nice base coat of black. Well, I guess the actual first thing to do was put it in a room where my animals won't destroy it. Let's tape it off so I don't get black around the edges. As I was taping the table, I realized it's definitely like sunken in the middle, but I'm not worried about it. Are you worried about it? Because I'm totally not worried about it. It's a quick project, it's not that deep. Now, you may be looking at this and thinking, oh, so you're just making a table of hot garbage. To that I say, trust the process. This is where the magic happens, and it starts with my not-so-secret weapon. To outline everything, we're only going to use white and yellow. We've got two different sizes of marker here, and we're going to alternate between them as we need. Now, you may be thinking, hey man, you said this was an easy DIY project, and now you're pulling out a VR headset? You absolutely do not need a VR headset for this. I would recommend sketching things out with chalk and then going over them with the acrylic markers, but you could also use a projector if you have it, or transfer paper. Or, if you're an experienced doodler, great band name, just start doodling on the table without a sketch at all. We're having fun here. Whatever you have will work, and in my case, I have this VR headset. I am using the Quest 3 and the app Contour. This app lets you take your images and pin them to a surface in mixed reality. I've been using this for a while now, and I'm still mind blown at how it works. If you want to know more about that, I have a tutorial that I'll link at the end of the video. With the headset on and the image loaded, I went over all of my basic lines with white and yellow paint markers. Then I took the headset off to add smaller details and clean it up. From there I took those same markers and added texture lines inside the doodles and a bunch of broken up accent lines to fill in the gaps between them. I generally tried to use white lines around existing yellow lines and yellow lines around existing white lines. This gave everything a lot more cohesion and really just tied it all together. This step went pretty quick. I got the first lines down in less than an hour. I made a bunch of tweaks, went over a lot of lines again to make them a little more thick, and then let it dry for way longer than I needed to just to be safe. Then it was time to make sure that this table lasts and take the whole thing up another level with the finishing process. I wanted to get this table as smooth as possible, and some rando on the internet told me, famous last words, that if I go over it with 600 grit sandpaper, it shouldn't damage it and should smooth it out. I guess I'll know pretty fast if it doesn't work. So 600 was a little too rough and tore off a little too much of the paint over here, but I switched to 1000 and it was pretty good. You might be able to see this light yellow dusting, and at first I was worried it was tearing too much paint off, but over here I was able to wipe it away no problem. So I think this will work pretty well, and then we can do the varnishing. So before I do the varnishing, I'm going to go over it with this UV resistant clear acrylic coat. This is the same stuff I used on my sticker table to get the resin to adhere to the vinyl. Sometimes when I've done acrylic varnish in the past, it's streaked the paint, and this protective coating should do the trick for that. I taped off the edges again so this stuff nor the varnish will make weird lines anywhere on the sides. It's also worth noting that this room is very well ventilated with windows on two sides. Don't use any kind of spray like this in a room that is not well ventilated. The acrylic spray dries really fast, so I put on one layer, waited about 20-30 minutes, put on another layer, waited another half hour or so, and then put down my first layer of varnish. I'm using acrylic matte varnish because I didn't want it to be super shiny. I gave every coat at least 3 hours to dry, and I ended up doing 3 coats. And with each coat, I got a lot more excited seeing this beautiful table coming together. The Doodle table is done, and more importantly, it was done quick. I didn't just make this video to show off my own art. I want to show how easy it is to take everyday objects that we take for granted in our homes and make them beautiful, or at least interesting. Like I said, you don't need a VR headset to do this, so all you need is an old table or something else you want to doodle on, something to sketch with, or not, acrylic markers, clear coat, and acrylic varnish. That's it. If you want to know more about my VR process or the resin sticker table that I made, I'll link both of those videos at the very end. But first, let's take a look at the finished Doodle table.